My fiancée told me, "I'm moving in with Anthony. We're going to have a baby together." I answered, "Congratulations." Then I returned her engagement ring, gave back the car, and changed every password she could possibly use. 6 hours later, she stood at my door, sobbing, claiming Anthony had thrown her out. I'm 36, male, sitting here at my kitchen table with a half-finished coffee in front of me, trying to grasp how quickly your whole future can fall apart. It was a Thursday, about 2 p.m., when my phone rang. It was Sarah, 31 years old, my fiancée for 8 months. We'd been a couple for 3 years, and had lived together in my house for the last year and a half. The call was short, brutal, and oddly formal. "David, I need to tell you something. I'm moving in with Anthony. We're going to have a baby together. I'm picking up my things tonight." Anthony is 29, her personal trainer, the man she'd been training with religiously for the past 4 months. I had even paid for his sessions, thinking I was supporting her. My mind froze for a moment. The words didn't sink in straight away. "Congratulations," I said, flat and emotionless, as if I were confirming a restaurant reservation. That was it. Just that one line. What more was there to say? "You've made your decision." I had expected some fight, some attempt to save what we had. Instead, she was leaving me while pregnant by another man and planning to move in with him. There was nothing left to fight for. Then I hung up. Oddly, I felt unnaturally calm, almost detached, like an observer watching somebody else's life collapse. Beneath that calm, though, I was already thinking through the practical steps. First priority, the engagement ring. I called the jeweler where I'd bought it 6 weeks earlier and explained what had happened. The manager was sympathetic and mentioned they had a 60-day return policy for cases like this, minus a restocking fee. I drove there right away, returned the ring, and got back. L'ordre 0 OFT Dwafahal HE 11,000 tortas of the $12,000 I'd paid. Next was the car. Sarah had been driving a leased BMW that I'd co-signed about 10 months prior. The payments were coming out of my account automatically. I logged into the leasing company's site, removed my payment method, phoned them, and told them I was revoking my guarantor status, effective immediately. They told me she would either have to qualify on her own income or return the vehicle by the end of the month, which, given her personal trainer salary, was unlikely. Then I went home and started changing everything. Wi-Fi password, Netflix, Disney Plus, and other streaming services. Logged out every device and updated passwords. I changed the home security code. I canceled the gym membership I'd been paying for. I contacted the credit card company and removed her as an authorized user. The whole process took maybe 3 hours, methodical and efficient. By 5 p.m., I was sitting in my living room with everything secured, waiting to see what would happen next. At 6:30 p.m., the doorbell rang. I looked at the security camera and saw Sarah, mascara streaming, holding 2 suitcases. I opened the door but kept the chain latched. "David, please. We need to talk. Anthony, he kicked me out." Why would Anthony kick out his pregnant girlfriend? She said it was complicated. He needed time to process things and wasn't ready for her to move in yet. The entitlement in her explanation was staggering. She'd torn apart our life expecting Anthony to instantly assume responsibility for her. When that arrangement collapsed, she returned to my doorstep. That was an Anthony problem, not my problem. "You can't just cut me off like this," she pleaded. "I can't access any of the accounts. The car payment got declined. My gym membership is canceled." I reminded her that she had told me she was moving in with Anthony, so those were now Anthony's responsibilities. "Please just let me stay tonight until I figure things out." "No," I said. She had made her choice earlier that day. She picked Anthony and his baby over the life we had built. I was simply respecting her decision. Her expression shifted from desperate to furious to panicked. "This is insane. You're punishing me for being honest with you." I told her I wasn't punishing her. I was accepting her choice. She wanted a different life with Anthony. She should go build it. If she had nowhere else to go, that was her problem to solve. She had family, friends, and Anthony. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt. She pounded on the door for about 10 minutes, crying and yelling, then finally left. The silence afterwards was oddly peaceful. Update 1. 48 hours after Sarah's announcement, the fallout followed predictable lines. That Thursday night, after she left my porch, I received a flood of texts from unknown numbers. Clearly, she'd been borrowing phones after I blocked her main one. "David, please, I made a huge mistake. Anthony isn't who I thought he was. I'm staying at a motel. I can't afford this. Please just talk to me." I screenshotted all of them and didn't reply. On Friday morning, her sister Jessica called my work phone. "David, what the hell is wrong with you? Sarah is devastated. She's practically homeless." I told her the truth. Sarah announced she was moving in with Anthony and having his baby. I respected her decision. She'd made a choice, and it hadn't worked out. Anthony apparently used her, and then discarded her. That was unfortunate, but not my responsibility. She had family and friends, and Anthony, who was the father. If Anthony didn't want to help, that was on him. Jessica accused me of cruelty. I said I was being realistic. She ended our relationship to be with someone else. I was not her fallback plan. I hung up and blocked that number. Later Friday afternoon, her mother called. "David, I'm ashamed of you. Sarah's pregnant, and you threw her out like trash." I told Linda the same thing. Sarah had left me for another man and declared she was having his baby. I did not throw her out. She left. If she realized she'd made a mistake later, that's not equivalent to my being obligated to restore her previous lifestyle. She needed stability. This was Anthony's child, Anthony's responsibility. I was practical. Her daughter chose another person. I was respecting that choice. The plot thickened when I learned through a mutual friend that Anthony hadn't merely kicked Sarah out. He was apparently married, had been the whole time, and his wife had discovered the affair and the pregnancy. Anthony immediately cut off contact with Sarah to try to save his marriage. So Sarah had lost me, her home, and now the man she'd been having an affair with. She was pregnant with a married man's baby who wanted nothing to do with her. More fallout followed. The BMW dealership called me. Apparently Sarah had gone there hoping for leniency. They told her exactly what I already knew. Without a co-signer with good credit, she couldn't keep the lease and had until the end of the month to return the car or face repossession. She started posting cryptic social media messages about discovering who people really are and fake love. A few mutual friends messaged me asking what happened. I told them simply, she left me for someone else. It didn't work out, and she's now dealing with the consequences. Most people understood. Those who didn't weren't really my friends. That weekend, I cleared out the remaining items she'd left in the house, things she hadn't grabbed in her hurried packing the night she left. I boxed everything up and labeled it clearly. If she wanted her stuff, she could arrange pickup. I wasn't delivering anything. The house felt different, quieter in a way I appreciated. No more walking on eggshells wondering about secret messages. No more paying for personal training sessions for her. No more funding a lifestyle for someone who planned to leave me for another man. Update 2. 1 week after the initial phone call, things escalated. Entitlement reached new levels. On Monday morning, I received a certified letter, not an email, not a text, hand-delivered to my workplace. It was 3 pages of handwritten drama from Sarah about how I had abandoned her in her time of need and how she never intended things to happen this way. The final paragraph demanded that I cover her hotel costs until she could get back on her feet and suggested we attend couples counseling to work through this betrayal. The betrayal in her telling was that I had refused to financially prop her up after she cheated, became pregnant by another man, and left me. I showed the letter to my lawyer friend Tom over lunch. He laughed until he nearly choked. She expected me to pay her bills after she actively chose to leave me for someone else, and then framed my refusal as betrayal. Apparently, I was supposed to be her indefinite safety net. I saved the letter. If she escalated legally, it would show her mindset clearly. Tuesday brought financial reality for her. My bank called to alert me that Sarah had attempted to use the credit card I'd canceled. Multiple attempts at various stores triggered fraud flags. I explained the situation and called the credit card company to confirm she was no longer an authorized user and to mark any attempts as unauthorized. Wednesday brought the family intervention. Sarah's parents appeared at my house unannounced. I watched them on the security camera for a few minutes before going out to speak. "David, we need to talk," her mom said. Her father, Mike, looked awkward, but determined. "Son, Sarah made a mistake, but you can't just cut her off completely." I told him again that she hadn't made a mistake. She made a deliberate decision to leave me for another man, and the fact that it went badly didn't make that my problem. She was pregnant and needed support. He argued that it should be my support if Anthony didn't provide it. I told him Anthony was married and used her. That was something she should have realized before cheating. They pleaded, alternated between guilt trips and rational arguments, and finally resorted to thinly veiled threats about doing the right thing. I remained calm, stuck to the facts, and after about 20 minutes they left. Thursday reached a new low. Sarah found me at the gym I still use, not the upscale place where she met Anthony, and cornered me by the free weights. "David, just listen to me for 5 minutes," I said. "You have 3. She rushed through it. "I messed up. I hurt you. I'm pregnant and scared and don't know what to do." 2 minutes. "Anthony lied to me about everything. He's married and never planned to leave his wife. He only wanted an affair. I was stupid." 1 minute. "I miss you. I miss us. I know we can work through this if you give me a chance." "Time's up," I said. "You didn't make a mistake. You made choices. You cheated with Anthony. You got pregnant by him. You left me for him. The fact that he turned out to be exactly what everyone else suspected doesn't erase your choices." When she tried the "but I love you" line, I replied that what she loved was what I provided: stability, financial security, someone to look after her. Anthony had promised excitement and adventure. When the reality hit, she wanted her safety net back. That wasn't how it worked. She had announced she was moving in and having another man's baby. Everything I did afterwards was simply accepting that reality. If Anthony had truly been the person she'd hoped for, they'd be setting up house together instead of her pleading on my gym floor. I grabbed my towel and left. "Find a new gym," I told her. "This one is mine." That evening, Jessica texted me calling me a heartless bastard and claiming Sarah was sleeping in her car. My response: she chose Anthony. She has to deal with the consequences. I blocked Jessica permanently. Final update. 3 months have passed since Sarah told me she was leaving me for Anthony. Time to close this chapter. In the immediate aftermath, my last update showed Sarah's life unraveling quickly. Sleeping in a BMW you can't actually afford while pregnant isn't sustainable. She lasted about a week before the car was repossessed. I drove past the tow lot and saw it there with dealer plates back on. Eventually, her parents did step up in the minimal sense. They let her move back into her childhood bedroom. But from what I hear through mutual friends, it's been rough. She expected the same lifestyle she'd enjoyed with me: dining out, shopping, an entertainment budget. Instead, she got basic room and board and lectures about responsibility. Pregnancy added a new layer of complications. Anthony, desperate to protect his marriage, insisted on a prenatal paternity test because he claimed Sarah was lying. Sarah agreed, perhaps hoping the test would force him to take responsibility. The results confirmed the baby was Anthony's. His response was not to leave his wife for Sarah. Instead, he hired lawyers and prepared for a custody battle while offering minimal child support. His wife ended up kicking him out regardless, but he's fighting to limit what Sarah receives. So Sarah now faces single motherhood on a part-time income, living with her parents, and a baby daddy who treats the situation as a legal obligation rather than as a committed partnership. About 6 weeks ago, I saw her from a coffee shop near my office, very visibly pregnant, struggling with grocery bags across the street. For a second, I felt a small flicker of something, not pity exactly, but recognition of shared history. Then I remembered her standing in my living room that day, announcing she was moving in with Anthony and having his baby. I finished my coffee and went back to work. Last week, Jessica tried one more round through a coworker, asking if I'd help Sarah for old time's sake. Maybe chip in for baby expenses since I used to care about her. My answer was straightforward. Sarah chose Anthony to be the father of her child. Those are his expenses to cover. The sense of entitlement never ends. Even now, after she's facing the full fallout of her decisions, she and her family expect me to clean up the mess she made. As for me, life is good, really good. The house is mine again. My finances are back where they belong. I no longer have to wonder who my partner is texting or worry about funding someone else's affair. I started seeing someone new last month, Michelle, a 33-year-old architect I met through friends. She's intelligent, independent, pays her own bills, and has never once mentioned needing a personal trainer. It's refreshing to be with someone who doesn't view me as a financial plan. There was no dramatic revenge, no elaborate scheme. I simply let Sarah face the natural consequences of her own choices. She wanted Anthony and his baby. She ended up with Anthony and his baby. And all that came with it, a married man who used her, a legal battle, single motherhood, and the collapse of the comfortable life she had abandoned. She gambled our relationship on Anthony being an upgrade and lost. The house and my life moved on. Sometimes the best form of revenge is stepping aside and letting people reap the consequences of their actions. Thanks for reading.